What's your favorite scary movie?
Be like, I'm dying.
If some guy came up to me and said, "Hey, big guys, I'm like, it's over and done. We're married now."
Someone in the movie, so I'm like, kiss. But
Oh God, what a sea of humanity.
Hello, and welcome into our day late, but not a dollar short podcast here over at 52/1994, the live movie conversation podcast where we discuss movies from the year 1994. I'm your host, Cody. I'm joined by my co host this week, Steven. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome in. We are happy for you to join us today. Just to give you a little bit of a heads up and background, we watch 52 movies from the year 1994. Important movies released this year by the monthly categories. Doesn't matter if they're good or bad or somewhere in the middle. We just like to talk about them. Sometimes we don't like to talk about them. And I can't wait to discuss this next one, which we're talking about the movie Junior from 1994, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. So yeah, we're excited to talk about this movie. I'm excited to talk about this movie. I've got stories, not necessarily stories to tell about this movie, but how's it going, Steven?
It's going well. I think my first question for you. I don't think we normally talk about this. Is like, why to you when you were making the list? Why is this an important movie for 1994?
I think that this is an important I think this is an important movie for 2024 as well.
I think this is an important movie for humanity.
I honestly, I think that yeah. One, the categories this month is we're dealing with a lot of comedies. This is the last one we're doing this month. Um, I wish I could, I could look back at the list of 1994 movies that didn't make the cut and
Mm,
see what possibly could have went in here. This was a month I had to shove Clerks in because I almost forgot this. Um,
mm,
forgot Clerks, but I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger is probably at the top, the peak of his popularity.
okay.
I think that Danny DeVito is still, considered pretty comedy genius at this time. Like in these movies, we saw him earlier in like Renaissance Man, which was a personal one for me. Um, and Emma Thompson's in this movie, who just got nominated twice for an Academy Award. Or is going to be on the path to get No, she did get nominated for two Academy Awards the previous year. So big deal there. Ivan Reitman. I mean, this is a comedy director that's been well known for ever. He's most notably for like Ghostbusters. He also had a lot of success with Twins, starring the same two guys that we see here.
I
Also
would
did
say that's
Kindergarten
the
Cop,
most. Yeah,
Stripes.
that's the best answer for me. Is that like everybody was expecting Twins too.
Yeah,
It's like so it was big because of that. But we can get into it some more for
I
sure.
am so excited because I already feel like you hate this movie, and that's only going to be great for me. Um, so let's talk about this movie a little bit and
Okay.
introduce it. Had you ever seen it before? Before we?
Never seen it before. For sure. Like when we talked about it originally, I was like, man, I think I've seen that somewhere along the line. And after watching it, absolutely not. There's
Yes,
no way I've seen this movie.
I think I was the same way. I think I've seen parts of this movie, and I've seen Arnold Schwarzenegger with a pregnant belly, or maybe I've just seen the poster for this movie and thought that I had seen this movie prior to this, but I had
I think
definitely not seen this movie.
I agree with you there that like seeing the poster as a kiddo, let's see, so I was 9 around this time, maybe 10, and just seeing the posters was like, it reminds me of a comedic poster as strong as like Hannibal. The poster for Hannibal
Oh,
was
okay.
always really, or not Hannibal. What's
Silence of the Lambs?
Silence of the Lambs? Sorry, the Hannibal movie.
Yeah.
The Silence of the Lambs poster was always like really scary to me.
Mhm.
And in the same way, this like Junior poster was scary, but like funny. It was like, wait, man, can guys get I think I was still young enough that was like, can you do that? So it stuck in my brain. And then maybe seeing parts of it, I thought maybe I'd seen the whole thing, but no way I've watched the entire movie before.
Well, I'm excited, and I'm excited for chat to pop off a little bit with their opinions as well, because I might have some opinions that shock people on this movie. So let's get into it. Let me go through our little
Let's get into
spiel
it.
of introducing the movie. Silence of the Lambs is a great movie pairing for Junior. That's great. All right, so this movie,
Don't spoil it. Don't
spoil it. Yeah, I don't want to. This movie's titled Junior. It came out November 23rd, 1994. It is directed by Ivan Reitman, as I've already went through some of his filmography. It was written by Kevin Wade and Chris Conrad. It stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dr. Alex Hess, I can't remember. Danny DeVito as Dr. Larry Arbogast. Emma Thompson as Dr. Diana Redden. Frank Langella as Noah Baines. Pamela Reed as Angela. And just for a couple other people out there, Christopher Maloney, also known as Elliot Stabler from Law and Order, is in the background. He has like one line in the background with his nice like mullet going on before.
I want his like his credit name to be like Infertile Guy.
Infertile. Poor guy, poor man. And then Megan Cavanaugh is in this movie too. People probably know her best as Marla Hooch from A League of Their Own, and she has a great line in this movie at the pregnancy center that I really like. So the synopsis for this, if you haven't already seen this or can already tell, research scientist becomes the world's first pregnant man in order to test the drug he and a colleague have designed for expectant women. To carry out the trial, he has an embryo implant, believing that he will only carry the baby for 3 months, hardly expecting to face the prospect of giving birth. This movie had a budget of $60 million, which is crazy high, I feel like, for what is this movie. It had to have all gone to like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Surely it had to, yeah. But anyway, it had a very modest box office return, $108 million. Rotten Tomatoes did not love this movie. Most of the critics panning this movie. It has 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. IMDb has it at 4.7, and Letterboxd it's sitting at 2.3 out of 5. Roger Ebert, however, loved this movie. 3.5 stars out of 4. He said the most unexpected thing about the movie is not that it's funny, which we expect, but that it's sweet. It's one of those films you sit through with an almost continual smile. It's goofy and ridiculous and preposterous, and yet it makes you feel good. And there's something oddly heartwarming about the sight of this macho guy melting with feelings of protectiveness and maternal concern. Desson Thomas, who is a frequent other person that we name on here, said, of course, some people won't find fault with the movie's bad coincidences or those month-long patches of exposition between yucks. This movie is almost 2 hours long. Let's just say that for the right audience, Junior may deliver, but there's a whole lot of pregnancy to go through first. So he did not like this. This movie only was nominated for, it was actually Oscar. This is an Oscar nominated movie in the sense that it was nominated for Best Original Song with the song Look What Love Has Done by Patti Smith. It's not even the good Patti Smith. It's a different Patti Smith. It might be Patti Smythe even. So that's the only legacy I could see from this. I think, yeah. Pretty much that. So let's break it down. Let's talk about the best scenes in this movie and get into the good stuff, the heart of this.
The heart of Junior.
The Heart of Junior.
You know, I'm gonna make a confession to start with, and that is I wish I would have a couple days maybe to process this.
No, I love that you
to
did.
gauge how I really feel about it. You're gonna get my like visceral reaction to it
I
because
love
I
it.
did just finish it like an hour and a half, 2 hours ago.
I got a question.
So-
Did you watch it alone?
No, she tried to watch
Okay.
a lot of it too, and
Okay.
I'm gonna try to not let her opinion, which was this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, sway me because she didn't watch all of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. I love this. I'm so excited. I feel like this is the first one of these in a while.
Yeah.
All right. What's your? Do you have any scenes that you want to talk about, or
I do. I mean, I've got kind of a layout. I always like just kind of put a layout down, and then after I have my layout of like what happened in the movie, I try to pick out like what I liked best about the scenes that I like best. And I think that the FDA meeting, we get a little intro before the FDA meeting, but I think the FDA meeting really shows what the movie's going for. They're going for Smart Arnold, right? Like, I was really impressed. Like, that's why I put that as my first favorite scene, is because I was like really impressed because he kind of sounded like a scientist for a second there in the FDA meeting, and then Danny DeVito's clearly like salesman. He's still stuck from like in Matilda mode. Where he's trying to sell it to the FDA, and everybody's looking at him like, and you find out the worth of that later in the movie. But yeah, I really like that FDA scene where Arnold really delivers, and like after being the dumb action guy, get to the chopper guy like type fella, he's the scientist now. He's the smart one.
I do like that scene.
Yeah, I like that scene a lot. It just kind of really like I said, shows what the trajectory is of the two characters in my mind.
Yeah, no, I like that. It is a good introductory scene. We not only get Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger's characters, we also get the Frank Langella character, or Langella, I think it's Langella, who's like the villain of this movie, Noah.
Yeah.
Who's the like president or whatever, or oversees their department for funding and all that stuff. So we get him in here too. We're not really sure if he's a bad guy or if he's rooting for him. And then we kind of learn real quick after that meeting.
He's got a bad guy face.
Oh, he does. He's a great bad guy.
If he was on an episode of Scooby-Doo, he'd be the guy like that tricked you into thinking like, oh, he seems like the bad guy, you know, but it's really the other guy. He'd be the good person to trick you on Scooby-Doo for sure.
Yeah, I know him best from Ivan Reitman's previous film, the one before this that nobody watched but me, called Dave, which is fine. I still think everybody should watch Dave. I love Dave. Very same like feel, music-wise, comedy-wise. I think they're in the same ballpark. I like Dave better than this movie, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Your FDA scene goes into my next scene, which is, you know, them canceling their funding, and Diana moves into the lab, which I also combined with Larry convincing Alex to do the experiment because he's like, I've got nothing left here. I'm going back to Europe. And Larry has to do his little salesman pitch to get him to do the experiment so they can they're so close to getting this approved and get a lot more money for this drug that's going to help a lot of women out.
Yeah, that was the airport scene was my number 2.
Yeah,
because like I just feel like it's such a badass move to be like, oh, I got to chase you, you know, to the plane. Let me just go buy a plane ticket to Paris real quick so I can chase you onto a plane like I've never been on, where there's like a winding staircase and mimosas from the get-go, you know, like I really liked that scene because it just shows, like they've already established that, he's got a bunch of money in this.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's talking to the like board of directors guy, Bain, is his last name, is what I've got him like listed as, the dean or whatever he is. He's like, man, I got a lot of money in this, cut me a break. And so I feel like him chasing him down in the airport, buying a plane ticket to Paris, I feel like is what he got at the desk, is just shows the desperation of like, hey man, this is gonna make my life collapse, kind of, and convincing him. The only thing I have even between those two is ex-wife asks the unaskable. It's like, hey, another dude knocked me up. You want to be my doctor?
Yeah, I forgot that happened right before this too.
Yeah, just like really, really strange ask. And he even thinks like, oh, it was me. I got you pregnant at that wedding we were at. And she's like, nah.
Yeah, that kind of broke my heart a little bit because like
Yeah.
they had tried for so long and then
The reason I bring it up is because Danny does great. There's a couple like shots of Danny where like, I know him from It's Always Sunny. The thing I've watched the most is Always Sunny. You don't get that, but you even in It's Always Sunny, you kind of get these rare moments where Danny shows off and he's like, I'm not just Frank and this, kind of creepy doctor guy. I'm actually a real person, and it makes you sad, makes you feel for him.
Yeah. I did want to mention that it's a quick scene, but Diana moving into the lab to replace them. The only thing that it establishes there is like, oh, here's all my frozen eggs, and then here's
Jurassic Park is moving in.
Yeah, and she's also very clumsy. That's the two things that we get, like that she's incredibly clumsy. So I just want to mention that one. But yeah, I really like the airport scene and everything that Danny DeVito goes through to get through that. Also, airports have changed so much since 1994. He's basically to the gate almost.
At the gate, like, like, where's your ticket? And they won't let him through.
Yeah. So airport security's changed just a little bit.
That was my watching partner. One comment in this movie, she was like, this was definitely pre 9/11, because of the airport scene.
Yeah.
But I think one of the first off-putting things, one of the things I didn't like, and I don't know if it's just because it's Emma Thompson, is just this like forcing a person I can't imagine as clumsy to be clumsy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this forced clumsiness where it's like, that didn't seem like it was really her fault. Like, I don't know. That is a theme throughout the movie for me.
I think it.
Like, why was that necessary for her to be like a bumbling idiot, scientist?
I think the only reason is like she's more scattered. Like she's a genius, but she's that like scattered genius. Like she doesn't think about anything except for the work that she's doing. When she's doing her work, she's really good at it. Like she just seems like she's kind of a mess otherwise. Like she's stayed up late.
She's on the face I'm fine with, but like there's a few other moments.
Toilet paper on the shoe I really liked.
Yeah, the thing falling out of the truck and her immediately popping it open. It was just like it felt like a very. This is okay. So this is like them trying to make this a comedy by making her clumsy, because it hasn't been very like funny up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think we got an early comment about, is this considered a comedy? Because there are months between the laughs at times, for sure, as our reviewer said. But yeah, the convincing in the airport was my second scene. And that, that is, I think maybe the second off-putting thing is like real quickly, like we're pretty close friends, man. How long would it, even though we're close friends, it'd probably take me a few days to talk you into putting a baby in your belly, right?
But okay, let me put this in perspective real quick.
It's your research.
I was about to say, we have a drug that is going to make so much money, and also like we're on the verge of it. I can get
Also, really help a lot of people. Like
yeah, but we know it's not about that in reality.
yeah,
It's about the
okay.
money that they're going to make. And I could get these Canadian guys if I have some human testing, and we're going to make it big, and then the FDA is going to approve us later because we've got Canadian funding.
Do you think it really? It was thought provoking to think like does it? Do you think do you think you could really get around the FDA that way, where you're like, they say you can't do this on humans, and you do it anyway, and you're like, well, it works.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get it approved in Europe, and then they convince. Like, I wonder if things actually. That scared me. That's the way things could actually work.
I would say even if they couldn't still get it approved by the FDA, because the FDA obviously haven't approved a lot of things that work in Europe or anything like. Can you imagine though China getting a hold of this drug and being like, or any of those Asian countries that are seeing a lot, like a dip in their fertility rates and everything like that? I mean, could you imagine those countries being like, yeah, absolutely. We want more babies. We want to make sure that everybody has that chance. I think
that's the kind of technology that scares me, because then it's like, man, you could just start growing babies in your backyard, like
we're not,
if they can grow.
I'm not getting into the science of this because it does not compute.
Does not compute.
I'm a bit of a scientist myself, according to this.
I'm a bit, yeah. I dabble.
I dabble. I think I know a couple things. What's your next scene?
Ooh, let's see here. My next scene is, as I labeled it, he's on drugs.
Okay, yeah.
I'm skipping past steals egg, share the lab, puts it in there. He's pregnant.
Okay.
So
yeah.
you don't have a scene in there for any of that, do you?
My next scene is going to be the dance.
I like Emma Thompson's concern, or Dr. Redden, or whatever her name is. Is like he's pregnant. He gets pregnant. They put the stuff in there, which is a weird scene. A lot of Arnold abdomen in that scene. And that's a long needle. I don't like needles.
I turned to Alyssa while we were watching this, and I said, "There's too many fluids in this movie. Just so many fluids.
There's too many science fluids going on. Like what?
Like I don't
like. I immediately, when he goes in and comes out with a cup, I feel like my watching partner was walking away, and I was like, I just saw an Arnold load. Like man, that's a great point. That's a good way to put it. There's too many fluids in this movie.
So many fluids.
Not enough fluids. Not enough abdomen.
That huge thing of his pee. You've got the jizz. You've got the pregnancy test fluids. You've got the needle going in with the egg and everything. So many fluids. I got a thing, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I guess I got it. I didn't even know, but I got a thing with too many fluids. And the needle, then the fluids go in the needle and it goes in the abdomen. And it was just like, were you expecting them to show that? Do you think that they just like kind of poked him? Man, it looked like he got in there with that needle.
The way that they do needles is pretty interesting. It always like they have like a retractable needle thing they can do.
Oh, like those swords that when you go in, they
yeah.
The like toy and sword things. Okay.
And then they'll also so that it'll show the liquid coming out of it. They'll have like something through their hands that go up their sleeves that like sucks the liquid out as you push down. So it looks like you're actually giving them something.
You know what Requiem for a Dream took from me is I never want to see that, but also like slow motion syringe draining. Like it's just like Requiem for a Dream comes back over me and is like I don't want to. When I go to the doctor, even and they're working on me, it's like I gotta do this number. Yeah, I can't. I don't. Some people want to watch that stuff, and for me, it's
I like to watch.
That's my lady. She likes to watch.
I like to see what they're doing. It's fascinating to me. That's another good movie pairing, by the way, for Junior is Requiem for a Dream.
This guy.
Shout out JC, Jesus Christ.
Shout out JC, Jesus Christ, for all the liquids,
all those liquids.
All the abdomens.
And you probably have it in the maybe you have it in your quotes, but where Danny DeVito says something about like, oh, it's a good load or a great load or something like
that. It's 100% my number one quote. So we'll save that.
Okay.
One.
We'll see.
But I do like, that like Arnold starts like he's sick in the lab and Dr. Eden's finding, like Diana's finding syringes and vials and stuff like that, and confronts him about like being a drug addict, like having a substance abuse issue, and is like, it's been going on for a month. I feel like had he been on drugs, what a nice way to handle it, in private, away from everybody. I want to help you. I'll help you. You've got a drug problem, but they keep it secret that he's just pregnant. Like, what a funny! One of the reasons that made me put that as one of my favorite scenes is what a funny concept is that a man who's pregnant is acting like a drug addict. That would be perceived that way.
Yeah. They say he has a disease from like where he comes from in Austria. They come
That's
up with
why
some
I also
rare...
put it, because they're just like, he's from Gerdensburg with the Stalin hounds. Like, yeah, they start making shit up, and I like that scene pretty good.
I like that too. Again, I think with the meet cute that Emma Thompson and Arnold have in the beginning, where she like runs into him when the thing falls, and like I think she has another maybe clumsy moment here, or he like takes her down, or to like avoid the bad guy that's coming to talk to him. Like, I think it's a really good interaction between the two of them.
We skipped over that. Like I mentioned it, with the cheese on the face when he's stealing the egg. Like,
oh yeah,
to me that's the kind of clumsy that is like, that you can convince me scientist Emma Thompson is, but some of the other stuff, I'm like, I don't know, it doesn't register for me.
I don't know. It was whatever to me. It was just like, she's clumsy. It didn't really do anything else except
why are y'all forcing this into the movie?
Coming up with a scene that I have later. But my next scene is the dance scene where we see Alex has grown a little bit more into his pregnancy. He's getting cravings. He's grabbing all the food at this like whatever gala that they're at, and he loves Franks and blankets, or whatever they call it, Franks and whatever covers. I don't know what they said. And he also starts like wooing Emma Thompson's character in this. Like, they have a connection and they have some things in common, and obviously the other guy, we get that he kind of brought Emma Thompson's character on because he kind of liked her and he wanted to dance with her, but she was just locking eyes with Arnie. And
can I go into left field for a second?
Yeah.
Have you ever woken up with food smeared into your body?
I am sure that I have done that at some point.
I would say the number one thing that's happened to me with, like, I can really relate to waking up with cheese on her face like that, because sometimes I fall asleep eating a Reese's.
Mm-hmm. You've done that?
And numerous times. Like, I've eaten half of a Reese's and like set it on my chest and fallen asleep and woke up with just chocolate and peanut butter on me.
Okay. So why is it out of the ordinary for her?
No, that is the most believable clumsy scene.
That's the
I would say. And Americans sleep with their cheese, bro. Duh.
What about I have a couple times had toilet paper stuck to my shoe.
I don't know.
That's happened to me
Ever
before.
happened to me? I don't. How does that happen to people? That there's stray toilet paper on the ground in the bathroom and you step on it and don't realize it? What is what are you insinuating that you were in the bathroom?
Yeah, that's where she was. Yeah, she was in the bathroom.
Yeah,
Bathrooms are funny.
I'm glad you're bringing this up because toilet paper on the shoe, I've always been like, I don't think I've ever seen it in real life. I've never been like, oh, that person got toilet paper on their shoe. And I also don't understand how that happens.
Yeah, I think
there's never, when I go take a shit,
public bathrooms,
there's never any stray toilet paper. Even in the public bathrooms. I don't shit in public bathrooms often.
So that's what you're not experiencing.
I got to shit in public bathrooms more often is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But yeah, the dancing scene was great. The dancing scene. Like I like the idea of them both not knowing how to dance and trying for the first time together. Back to Ebert's comment. It's like, that's sweet, like. And it was kind of cool and stupid at the same time for that guy to ask her to dance at the same time as this dude. It's like, man, you should have known. Just step back, man. Like, you're not gonna win this one. Yeah, the only thing I have.
I love this scene too, mostly because everybody in it references that he's like glowing too.
Yeah, he's radiant.
Radiant. You look radiant. And people can't help but say it. That typical stereotype that pregnant women are always glowing and stuff like that. No, I really like that.
Yeah, I do want to mention that his Danny DeVito's character his ex-wife starts telling him that she banged a member of Aerosmith. And then the symptoms I also have to mention. At times it felt like instead of having symptoms of pregnancy, he was like trying to just act like a woman.
It's those increased hormones that he had.
Yeah, I don't understand any of that, like you said, with the science. But like,
so they don't either. So
I don't even know. Let's be honest. Tell me right now, what do hormones do? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know how they control me, but I know if you up one, you're gonna start doing things. Now they're not changing.
Let me tell you the one thing I know about hormones. There's some in there. I don't know what they're doing. It's like there's some white blood cells in there, and I know they're like don't get sick. But other than that, I don't know what they're doing when I'm not sick.
Chilling.
Yeah,
you need to watch.
I'm not gonna pretend, but there were times where I was like, I guess the comedy of this is that he's like, and what they were going for with this whole thing is they were like, let's make this really tough guy show what women really have to go through with pregnancy.
I would say it's in the same construct as the movie What Women Want.
Yes.
With like Mel Gibson, very on the nose, very like these are going to be the most stereotypical things you're going to go through. You're going to hear what I have to say. Like it's the same kind of comedy that you get with that. It's like we don't need the science to check us out in this. We just need it to be like, oh, he's got these higher hormones that are typically in like women, and now he's more sensitive to things. Now he's it's the typical, it's all stereotypical jokes.
So what I would say as this movie's pushing me away, right? It's shoving me out. This is one of the things that like I don't think I'm good at appreciating the sweet, the typical. Like you wouldn't describe. We're at this point in the movie at the dancing, and I don't think there's been anything clever almost at all.
Mm-hmm.
Even for the 90s. Even for the 90s, it's just not clever. That word typical. See, like that's very fitting of this movie up to this point, especially now, like right before the dance, and you're figuring out, okay, this guy's value is that he's able to sell it to like Linden, which is, I guess, is like the pharmaceutical company. That's he's like the salesman of this, and they're interested now. But as he's doing that, this Baines, like Dean, board of directors guy, is starting to get on their trail of like realizing that they're doing, they're still working. Like somebody's still taking this drug. So as he's doing the salesman thing, he's like just gaining more attention than they need. But yeah, then they that's like he gets so into the symptoms and has so many hormones, as you put it, that like that's when Danny DeVito's character is like, that's it.
Yeah, we're pulling the
You gotta
plug. You're acting strange.
Yeah, and what a shitty way to be like, hey, it's over. I'm gonna leave you at home alone. I'm trusting you to make a good decision while you lay in the dark, facing the opposite way on your couch.
Yeah, it's playing off the stereotypes, the husband and the wife thing. I'm leaving you at home. You don't get the that's the comedy of it, of it all. But then he says, "Screw you, Danny DeVito. I want this baby. I want to, not many people get to feel this, and I want to feel this. I feel like there's something in me that, growing," and he keeps taking the medication.
This is the point where we cross, where he's like, he starts saying, "My baby," a lot. "My baby,
yeah,
my baby, my baby." It goes from being like an experiment to like, "My baby," though.
Yeah, it's his baby, man. That's what I'm saying. It's changed.
In there. It is in there. It's in there. I saw the ultrasound.
That was a good move. That was a good moment. That was a very sincere moment whenever they're going over the ultrasound. Also very funny when they're in his doctor's office and he's starting to talk to all those women about their pregnancies, and Danny DeVito said that he's crazy and like he thinks that he's pregnant. That was really funny. And that's when you get
I think for sure there's too much. I mean, and this happens when they're doing it to women too, but there's too much of like talk about fluids and like liquids that I don't know what they are, and maybe they weird me out a little bit. Is like whatever they're just having when he's doing like ultrasounds on his belly and stuff like that. Whatever they have to put like 5 pounds of lube on everything before they start doing that. And that just, there was too much of Danny DeVito doing that to Arnold Schwarzenegger for my taste, for my personal taste.
That's what they got to do, man, to see the it's all the things that you do whenever you're going through this. So the next scene that I had was Arnold making pasta.
Yes.
And that's leading to
next one is I'm lying. I just wanted to see you.
Yes.
I love that line, man. I love that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, where she's like, I brought you somebody gave me some paperwork to give to you from the lab. And he's like, who? And like the struggle on her face in that moment of like, do I keep lying? Do I keep lying? Do I keep lying? No, I'm lying. I just wanted to see a pregnant man.
Yeah, no, I think that I like that part of it after, especially coming after the dance scene and them sweet. Like, yes, very sweet. This movie's very sweet. And then I love that they are like, it's almost uncontrollable. That they just go start making out with each other and just very feral in this moment. And I think one of the parts about this is that Arnold at one point says, like, I never knew that I was this this lonely. I don't think it was at this point, but it might have been earlier whenever Danny DeVito was trying to convince him to, cancel the pregnancy. And I think this is all like just good for Arnold. He's embracing like these new feelings or feelings of like, now I have something to live for, to make sure that I care about. And then now I have feelings for this very attractive woman who loves me and doesn't find me disgusting, even though I've grown some things. Like, good for Arnold.
I would say that at times the dialogue felt weird enough that it was like, it almost like they went to a pregnancy center and just talked to pregnant women and used those lines to like write the movie, because it was so accurate to, and that's what I love about.
Well, that's some of the fun fact that I have is like Arnold went to obstetrician offices and waiting rooms and talked to pregnant women and watched pregnant women to see how they behaved. So, I mean, that might have went into this role.
A few lines along the way. Yeah. I like that. So they get interrupted as they start to have some sexy time by ex-wife who got knocked up by Aerosmith. And then the pregnancy feast. I like the pregnancy feast because, like, if there is one thing that would be kind of cool about being pregnant, it'd be like time to eat a bunch of stuff that I don't normally eat, like time to have some weird cravings and maybe just like eat a whole jar of pickles on Tuesdays. That seemed fun. I always love a good pregnancy feast. Like, I feel like on The Office, they're doing that, and that just seems like a good time. That's like a fellowship meal after church, man. Pregnancy feast.
That's when you're at a potluck and like you put all this food on your tray and it all is touching.
Bingo! I like to mix my cuisines.
I like to mix my cuisines,
dude. Man, fellowship meals and pregnancy feasts would be such a good time.
Maybe they should watch Junior.
2 things I'm not involved in that I need to be involved in more: pregnancy feasts, fellowship meals.
I don't know what you're talking about. I eat like this every day. It's ridiculous.
And that's just because you're better at mixing cuisines. I got to get better at
She knows what she's doing.
Yeah. Man, I am. I need more mixed cuisine in my life.
Next scene that you have?
Let's see. I've got I'm carrying your baby as my next scene.
Oh my. I think I have that in my no, I think that's
it's
a
my
good
last
scene.
scene in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I have comments on other things, but like, yeah, pregnancy feast. That dude, the board of directors guy, Baines or whatever, comes over and finds the meds at their house. They let him in. Like they basically got fired by this guy. I'd be like, hey man, fuck off. You can't come in my house. Get out of here. But they let him in and he's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And he starts creeping around. He finds the meds. And then, the Emma Thompson's character just kind of, he starts to confess and she's like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I froze my own eggs and I named him Junior. And then I do like the scene of the ex-wife walking in on like Danny DeVito rubbing
his belly.
I do like that. That's honorable mention for sure. Like,
man, I was just like, solid. Oh no, as she fell from fainting. I was like, her baby.
I looked over at Natalia when she was like walked in and was in the background and she just had her hands over her face.
Oh man.
But yeah, I'm carrying your baby is my last favorite scene of the movie because I feel like Emma Thompson has just such a great reaction, such a realistic reaction.
Yeah,
of, like,
an appropriate reaction.
Yeah,
too.
an appropriate bingo. Yeah. Yeah, just like
it kind of goes
you
out the
stole
window
from me,
later.
You lied to me, like you did all these things. Like, get out of here, man. Like, I don't want to talk to you.
I almost think that she should have been even more angry.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it feels like such a violation.
There should have been
you
some
took
physical
my-
violence,
Yeah,
maybe just like
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, it does. He now has something that you were saving, and yeah, it felt icky. It felt icky when that moment. And even the scene that you talked about earlier with Danny DeVito stealing the egg, it was tried to play as comedy, but it felt icky the whole time. Like,
yeah.
I
couldn't help but think of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It's just like Jurassic Park. He took the Velociraptor eggs and got out of there.
You didn't say the magic word.
And she's even kind of messy like him too, like with the cheese on her face. Like, yeah. But yeah, she definitely underreacted. She reacted verbally well.
I get that the name of the movie is Junior, but I don't think we need the through line of Junior that is forced upon this movie too. Like, it is, it's sweet that they all thought of the name Junior, but it's also like, all right. He thought of the name Junior. Danny she thought of it. They're all thinking the name Junior. Is there a TV show or something on? But anyway, yeah, it's still just shoving me. It's like, don't like me.
My next favorite scene, and probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, is the whole pregnancy retreat center. The introduction of
Casitas Madres.
The
House of Mothers.
It introduces us to Alexandra. It also gives us a wonderful montage of Arnold, really getting, they're wrapping their arms around Alexandra. They love Alexandra. They're supporting her in her pregnancy just as much as the other ladies there, even though she's Arnold. You get to see some great things here, and then you also get to see Emma Thompson come around and be like, "Okay, you're pregnant, and we gotta fuck now." So
this is where the movie goes off the rails for me, because up to this point, it's like, there's a vibe, like we've said, of like, this is sweet, and they don't seem to really be joking about this. And then the montage hits, and it's like, oh, this is a joke. Like, now we have a montage that is supposed to be comedic. And then, like, her coming around, to me, this is where the movie, like, from here on, the movie just crashes and burns. It was like the rewatchability of after the montage is just, I don't ever need to see it again. But I will say, up to this point, we were doing all right. I don't like Arnold Schwarzenegger with a wig on. There's just something. There's something like No Country for Old Men-ish about him. I don't know. Like, I don't like it. I think it's a personal thing that it was just like, that will be in a nightmare someday now. Some night I will dream of something horrible involving that image.
God, I can only hope to have that dream.
I can't wait to tell you about it.
I can't wait for you to tell me about it as well. Honestly, I think that the delivery scene is fine and like kind of closes up the movie fine. It's not like one of my favorite scenes, but they deliver the baby, and then also Angela has her baby that day as well. So Oh yeah, Emma Thompson wanting to bang in the moment reminds me of when Sandra Bullock wants to bang at the end of Speed. It just feels so misplaced. Like,
Yeah.
oh, now we have to, because it's like putting that romance in there. Now, I think that the Emma Thompson romance is probably a little bit easier to explain because there's a lot of months and like actual wooing that we see in between, whereas Sandra Bullock's just like, you're hot, let's do it. We just had
Let's
a traumatic
just talk about this
experience.
for a second. Let's just talk about this for a second too. If I'm a pregnant man, I don't know that I can. Like, I don't. So, man, I try to just keep this a podcast, streamed, just somewhat family friendly. But like, I don't know that I even know many people that have enough a long enough dick to get past a pregnant belly. Like the physics, but like the anatomy of a body starts to come into play. Where like after they had sex and they were laying around, I was like, how would you do that? Like, how would you? And I came up with some options for sure, but it just seems like it would be challenging as a pregnant man, pregnant woman as well. But yeah, that was when I was like, this could be over now. Nobody wants to fuck. Women barely want to have sex with men. I think, and to think that a woman would want to have sex with a pregnant man, there's got to be people out there. This is for us on this, but that is awful. A pregnant man having sex is something I just didn't want. It's not something I want to be thinking about. But I will be thinking about it.
I hope so.
I will be. I can't get it out of there.
I feel like you're getting really caught up on a lot of weird details, like cheese on the face and pregnant sex. And
I wish I could have been like Robert Ebert and just been like, man, this is so sweet. But it was like, wait, how did they have sex?
Yeah, though you can't think
I know
you've
it's not
already
the 90s anymore.
You've already defied science with this movie. You got to throw everything out there. If you can believe that Superman flies, you can believe that Arnold Schwarzenegger can have sex with a woman with a pregnant belly.
I like the comment.
The comment in the chat or my comment?
I think the comment in the chat, not yours.
Well,
I think that does really save it a lot. Yeah, I mean, once you get, I think that's you hit the nail on the head. It is a profound comment because you and other people that I know are much better with allowing for that. It was like, and just like being like seeing past it. Typically, this is what I mean by like shoving me out. Is like most movies, I'm just trying to like it. I'm trying. Like with this one, I wanted to like it, and it's slowly like, get the fuck out of here! You can't like me. And that was, to me, pregnant man sex is the way I wrote it down. It was like, all right, this could be over now. You've ruined. I've never thought about such a thing, and I don't want to think about this. And just be over.
Thought it was a very.
That's where I was after that. I feel like I have a comment that after pregnant man sex that was like, "Will you please be over now?" And then the only other things I have: press is waiting, sneak in, 2 babies on the beach.
On the beach with a dumb ending line on the beach, but that's fine. All right, let's move past these scenes.
Yay, Junior!
Who's your favorite character, or is there a scene stealer?
Minnie.
Minnie.
The monkey.
What? The monkey is your
Minnie
favorite
the
character.
Monkey is my scene stealer of the movie. I enjoyed every scene that the monkeys were in. The chimpanzees, if they were in, I was in. And Minnie was the one that we're going to miss the most.
I think my favorite character is Alex. I think I
Oh,
like
yeah?
his transition. I love to see his character development in a way that he was like I said earlier when he was talking about I never knew I was lonely, and then like gets to experience this all, and I think he embraces it and becomes a good person because of it. I love Alex. I also think Diana's great too.
Yeah.
And I
Definitely.
also think that Angela steals a lot of the scenes that she's in. Like I really like when she shows up. I saw somebody in the chat say that just trim Larry and Angela's story almost out entirely. I disagree because I think that you need this like other unique pregnancy situation in this movie. It's not even Larry's child, and it's from the other perspective. I kind of like that it's like a correlation thing between the two pregnancy stories. So I kind of like it, but that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
All right, favorite quotes from this movie?
Yeah. First quote is, "I thought one of mine could have bribed his way in."
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? Do you remember that line?
He could have bribed his way in.
It's like they're talking about, like that maybe he got her pregnant instead of Aerosmith initially
Oh,
when she's
yeah.
telling him, and she's like, we tried for years. It's not gonna happen. An accident one night. He's like, I thought one of mine could have bribed his way in. Yeah, I like that. That's funny to me. I like that line.
Let's see.
And then the one we talked about.
I like obviously. Let's see here. Yesterday, just scooping the middle out of a honeydew melon gave me a Steifen. Talking about how he's becoming more sexually aroused than he had been before.
I mean, who
love
hasn't
that.
been aroused by a melon every now and then?
That was a weird thing, though,
Yeah.
especially because I don't like melons. But
I'm more of
hey,
a
whatever does
cantaloupe
it
guy
for you.
myself.
I don't like cantaloupe or honeydew. No offense.
We're not talking about your mouth. Strong swimmers, big load, way to go.
Big
I
load.
think that's gonna be like that. That will be what I take with me from this movie.
I think this might be
if
the
I'm-
first movie that Cum has ever been referred to as a load.
Yeah, I think that 5 years from now, I'll be able to recite that. I'll be able to go strong swimmers, big load, way to go.
I think that's a great idea. Like you
I
should
think
do.
it'd
I think you
also
should
be
recite that
really
after sex
cool.
every time.
Yeah, I think it would also be really cool. I think you would agree to see your sperm under a microscope. Like if you could just and then look at it, that'd be cool. That was I'd never thought about seeing my jizz under a microscope before this movie. So shout out Junior. They're talking about in the car ride where like women want men to feel what pregnancy feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "You finally do it, and what do you get? Attitude and insults."
It's a good line.
Yeah.
My body, my choice.
My body, my choice. That was another. Get out of here.
Well, when Diana says, "Call me old-fashioned, but I'll be damned if I'm having a child with a man that I've never even slept with," that gets them to the to the scene that you don't like.
Pregnant man sex.
Pregnant man sex. I like when Alex says, "Does my body disgust you?" Whenever she comes over to his house.
That's great. I feel like that's one of the lines that felt like they got from an actual pregnant woman. Like he was sitting somewhere and heard like a couple sitting in a waiting room, and she was like, "Does my body disgust you?" And like wrote that down. It was like, "Oh, perfect."
I thought he delivered it very, very well.
Yeah. Especially because he's such a sexy man.
What else? You got any more quotes?
That's it, man.
All right, I got a couple more. Wanted to highlight Diana's reaction. A couple of these lines. She said, "Why should I be upset? You lie to me. You steal from me. You engage in utterly selfish, immoral, arrogant stunt without any regard for my feelings whatsoever. What am I supposed to be grateful? This is just so male." And then she also says, "You think men don't hold enough cards? You have to take this away from us as well. It's pitiful." So those are some very harsh, appropriate lines from Dr. Redden. And let's see, the other one that I have here
Sounds like
is
a room full of dudes writing for a woman for sure.
it was written by two men. So,
Yeah, it
and
sounds
then
like
it's
it.
I never realized how lonely I was, and then Larry responds with "Get a dog," which is an inappropriate inappropriate reaction to somebody that's coming out and telling you how sad they are and
Yeah.
what was missing from their life, and you just "Get a dog" back at them. You get a dog, Larry. Stop sucking so much.
I mean, I think everybody would benefit from a dog. So,
I mean, I'd like
in defense, everybody's better with a dog. Anyways.
All right. Biggest laugh, cry, scare, or thrill. You got anything for these?
My biggest, like, the thing after I'd seen that this was a sweet movie, the thing that did kind of a combo move of like, this is sweet and funny in a way that I think they nailed exactly what they were going for, is that there's a hug earlier in the movie, but it's a late moment where they hug and the camera doesn't even get like Arnold's chest. It's just Belly and Danny DeVito. And it made me laugh out loud. And it was also like, that's kind of sweet, like, because he is invested. Like, it's his drug. He cares about, Dr. Hess as well. They've like gone through a lot together. He's been staying in his house. It's a very sweet, but also laugh out loud moment to me.
And mine would be mine, of course, I already went through it, is the pregnancy center montage. It's just, here's the thing about the pregnancy center montage. It would calm down with like its obvious jokes and everything. And then I would see one thing in the background, or they would say one line and it would bring me back in and I would be howling.
I think that they needed something early in the movie to push it that far into comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much of the movie that's like, are they joking? Like, I don't know. I don't feel that it's full blown comedy until that scene. And I think something like that could have been used, not a montage necessarily, but something like very, very comedic. Like the montage could have been used earlier, but just my opinion.
Most ridiculous moment.
When she lands on him and kisses him on the mouth twice.
Oh yeah. It's pretty
what
ridiculous.
The fuck?
Yeah, why did she just kiss him?
I'm so clumsy. Thanks for saving me. Mwah, mwah.
Back then, we gave things to people that saved us.
Why the fuck
like
would
kisses.
She kiss him on the mouth?
Because it's a screwball comedy where you want these two people to fall in love.
I feel like Arnold's reaction in that moment is so good. He's like, "Get off of me!" Like,
yeah.
It's so weird that she kisses him. I paused the movie and wrote it down and was like, yeah, I hope this is the moment.
He saved her eggs, man. He saved Junior.
Yeah. He saved her eggs.
If he didn't do that, we may not know what happens. Like, Junior might not exist. All those eggs get cracked.
Better movie.
I said Alex's dream after he finally gets inseminated. Where the baby has his face.
Agree. That was definitely honorable mention. Man, and definitely, at a time where they couldn't. I feel like I could type that into something right now, and it would do it better than they did in the movie.
It was so good, though. His face was.
Why does
so
that
good.
baby look like Black Arnold Schwarzenegger?
It looked so cool to me. I mean, it wasn't well done at all, which made
the way
it
it was
even more just like,
morphing around.
what the
and
fuck is
stuff.
going on?
Yeah, definitely. That'll be in my nightmare as well.
Also, ridiculous moment. I think we can both agree on this is the science behind anything in this movie, as there is none science. If again, don't
None
think about
science.
this too hard at all. Even when they're explaining where they're going to put this baby in Arnold's body, it doesn't make sense because that cavity is not going to do what it does for a normal woman, and also that baby instantly goes in there and dies because there's no uterus. It's insane. There's no umbilical cord. There's no nothing. There is no science in this movie.
Tell me you felt like I did, where when they started talking about, they were like going in to deliver the baby, and we're like, it's wrapped up in his intestines. Like I just see a newborn just like in layers of intestines, like trapped. Because I wish I was more like you and other people I know, where I could just kind of move past like stuff like that and just enjoy it. But once they started talking about him, the baby being in his intestines, I was like, please just be over. Please stop with this fucking nonsense.
I think that's probably part of the joy that I get from this movie is the ridiculousness I almost wish they would have had like a cutting of the umbilical cord scene, because it only would have added more to me being like, how? There's no way. Where is that umbilical cord attached to?
Just cutting his like intestinal umbilical cord. That it's
like was he just like
cutting
that
it
baby
out
just
of it.
tapped in at some point to the like he just like, all right, I got this little dangly thing, let's just click her in right there, we'll be good.
Interesting though. Like I will say that even as we've acknowledged my lack of scientific knowledge, it did from the very beginning when they started talking to like the perineal cavity. I was like, wait, do guys have a spot where babies could grow? And that's what I had. Like, see, this is what I wish I could have just kept watching the movie and been like, of course they don't. Just moving on. But I had to Google it because I don't know anything about science.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was enjoyable. I would say the first half in particular. And we'll get to that here. I got a comment about that here soon, but yeah, it not great. Not great.
They did their homework though. They looked up. They're like, is there anywhere where we could put a baby in a man's body? They did their homework, so good for them. Best music moment or score recognition.
James Newton Howard is an incredible score writer. And there were several moments in this movie. I will not go into the individual moments because we could talk about it for another 30 minutes of how it there were several times the music brought me back where I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. I don't like this. And I was like, but the music is familiar in a way that I was like, who did the score? Of course he did.
Yeah.
Was my reaction, because he's done, again, we won't get into that because we could talk about that for another 5 or 10 minutes. Like all he's done, like I think Hunger Games, Dark Knight, the Batman movie, like he's done incredible. Yeah, I mean his career we could talk about on a whole nother episode. But I like the I've Got You Under My Skin.
Yeah, what a great
dancing, like jazzy. Like I love Frank, so I love that song. And just like what a different version, right? And what even a unique translation of a woman singing so low.
Oh yeah,
like Frank sings higher, way higher on that song than she does. which was Cassandra Wilson.
Is she
Um,
from anything? Did you look her up and see?
I didn't recognize anything else, but I also didn't do a lot of
Yeah.
digging because of timing. But
Time, yeah.
yeah, I appreciated that cover, if you will.
Yeah, it looks like she's just a jazz singer. I mean, probably a famous jazz singer. She's got like
Famous
awards and things like.
for famous. What I did see was famous for that low tone.
Yeah.
Like that's man, how unique. Have you ever heard anything like that? A woman singing that low.
No.
It's super. That's what she's known for, and I
Yep.
thought that was super cool in the movie. I thought, and the fact that they like brought her in to be in the movie, they could have just played that shit in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My best music moment is Daddy's Little Girl from the commercial that Arnold is watching and
Okay.
crying to by Michael Bolton.
Yeah.
Also the one that I put on our post on the Instagram. So I really love that one, and I
God,
really
Michael
like to.
Bolton.
Oh man,
Did he make any bad music?
I don't think
he
so.
did. I don't think so.
I think I made fun of Michael Bolton when I was a kid just because of his long, stupid hair and everything. But now I'm just like, no, you were hot and you had a great voice and like that hair. I want that hair now.
Supposed to live without you.
Oh my
And
god,
man,
it's such a banger.
I feel like he was on the Hercules, like the Disney Hercules soundtrack too. Man, that guy has written some incredible songs.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing.
He
man.
knows what he's doing. All right, time for Fuck, Marry, Kill. I think this will be
we haven't done one of these in a while. Like on the ones I've been on.
Yeah.
I feel like the last two we've been like, I don't remember what.
They were probably a little bit like, like maybe we shouldn't do
inappropriate. Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't do one for this one.
We got to this part, and you were like, let's not do one for this one. And I talked a long time, but like kind of breezed by it, so I'm looking forward to this part.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this will be an easy one for you. I'd love to see. I know what it's going to be though. We're going to do Diana, Angela, and Alexandra.
Kill Alexandra because she scares me. She scares me, man. I gotta kill Alexandra. I'm definitely fucking Angela just because I want her in bed to say to me, "You're not so tough without your bat, are you? Or without your car, are you?" From Kindergarten Cop. Man, she was so cool in Kindergarten Cop. But yeah, definitely Mary.
Also,
Lucinda Thompson.
Yeah, and
You would
I honestly,
marry Alexandra, wouldn't you?
I mean, she was very sweet, and
It changed.
No, I think that I agree with yours. I think I'm going to go with yours exactly how it is, with Diana being who I want to marry, and Angela, you know, she's good for that. You know, she goes off with the personal trainer from Aerosmith. You know, she's you know,
she
great
knows
woman.
what she's doing.
She knows what she's doing. I think she's doing all right.
Yeah.
And I would make sure to, you know, wrap it up if I was, you know, because I don't want to, you know, no surprises.
Yeah, no surprises.
No surprises. I kind of wished it would have ended up being somebody actually in Aerosmith, because that would have made that thing. I think that would have made the joke a little bit funnier. You know, she hooked up with like Steven Tyler.
In that context, though, like I wonder if you get in trouble for making in 1994, if you could get sued for making a joke like that.
I think they would probably reach out for permission before they.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, hey, Joey Kramer, drummer of Aerosmith, we're going to.
You think that they, even in the context that they use it, they probably still reached out for permission, because they were throwing around the name Aerosmith enough that I was like, I wonder if they had to do something for that.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would
like the poster. The poster too.
Where they're throwing the darts at him.
Yeah,
I'm sure they had to get some kind of permission for it. But yeah, that's what I would go. And Alexandra, sadly, I'd have to kill Alexandra if I could. I don't know if I could because she'd probably kill me first.
Yeah.
You don't mess with the 6'6" former Olympian athlete from East Berlin who's been pumped full of steroids her whole life,
Oh my
unwillingly. I mean, she's got a sad
Which
story.
I think it was a kind of a funny thing because like Arnold Schwarzenegger definitely did steroids, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And so like weird thing to be acting out, right? Like while you're probably actively doing steroids.
He probably is off of them by now.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
He's not as much as he was because he's not doing the bodybuilding anymore. He was definitely juicing when he was doing the bodybuilding.
And pregnancy strength?
Oh, yeah. Pregnancy strength on top. That guy could lift a car off of a human being if they were trapped. I know he could. She could.
Man, I love when they're at the pregnancy feast and she has pains and he's having them too.
Sympathy
and he's
pains.
like, sympathy pains. And she's like, I just met you. You must be a sympathetic guy. And he's like, lately, yes. That was, man, the pregnancy feast was awesome.
The pregnancy feast is pretty great. It's up there. Yeah. Like that whole segment is probably my second favorite part of this.
That's why I would argue that Angela still needs to be in, like almost for the pregnancy feast.
She's great. You need her.
Yeah.
You need her.
Yeah.
She's and also Leslie Knope's mother as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love her as Leslie Knope's mom, but she'll always be, you're not so tough without your car, right? Yeah.
Kindergarten Cop. Amazing.
Oh yeah.
All right. Who gave the best performance in this movie? If you can't say the freaking monkey either.
Yeah. I don't know that it was part of Ebert's review, but I feel like I did see another review that like unarguably Arnold, because he did something he hadn't done before. He really showed his range in this movie. And I think that goes back to why I said the FDA meeting at first, because you're also not only establishing him as the scientist, but as like the hard-nosed, not friendly, not radiant scientist, which much later we see. So yeah, Arnold crushed it. And then right behind that, Danny DeVito. I mean, there were moments like, zoom in on Danny DeVito, was like, man, I don't know that I've seen that move from him before. You know, like there's a sexy eyes moment where he's flirting with Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
He's asking her out and they do like a close up of him like looking up at her. And I was like, sexy Danny DeVito?
Sexy. That's what I'm going as for Halloween. It's sexy Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
I agree, Arnold. I said in my kind of like second place, right on his heels, is Emma Thompson, and mostly because she's going full in. You know, This is Emma Thompson, who was in Remains of the Day and was in The Name of the Father, playing these super dramatic roles and like, you know, being romantic and British and all these things, and then she like allows herself to kind of be goofy and silly in this.
I think that makes more, you saying that makes more sense of the like kind of forced clumsiness.
But it's also the same thing. It's the reverse of Arnold too. He's doing the same thing. He's playing against type. He's playing this. I mean, we know him as like the action star, but like in his Kindergarten Cop era, his Twins era, like this is a man that, you know, comparable is probably like John Cena, who is seen as like this wrestler, but like nails comedy, just knows what he's doing timing wise, and like it's surprising that he's really good at this.
So Danny's really the only one that's still doing like
he's just being Danny.
Same song and dance, you know.
But he's good at it. But Danny's good at it.
Oh yeah.
And like Danny, so Danny lives in that world where he's not swinging too far to the one side or the other. He kind of lives in the middle, like a Robin Williams type who can be very funny, but also get you in the feels. So
and he's almost the straight character in this.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah, so that's
Um,
wild when you've seen as much It's Always Sunny as I have.
yeah. All right. Did you do any recasting for this for 1994? If there was anybody you could replace or anything that you'd like to replace, who would you have done?
I didn't do any 94 recasting. I'm
I
not just.
The only thing I saw in notes or I put down is maybe replacing Danny DeVito's character with like Bob Hoskins.
That'd be
Like
cool.
I think he's done Hook, he's done Mario Brothers, like he's essentially
Yeah.
Danny DeVito anyway.
Man, a little taller,
Danny.
Yeah, yeah.
He's done Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He's the only one that I think that could
I
have.
like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really interesting to see.
Did you do any 2024 casting?
Vin Diesel and Peter Dinklage.
Okay. There was a little bit of me that wanted to put Vin Diesel, but I was like, nah, I want to go. I personally was like, I want to go a little bit younger than Vin, but like Vin Diesel's up there. That's a good one.
John Cena. You already
John
mentioned
Cena would have been great
be
in this.
Freaking awesome at a remake of this, I feel
Yes.
like.
I put Chris Hemsworth just because of his comedic roles that he's been in, that I've seen him in, whether it's the Women Ghostbusters movie. He was probably one of the best part about it. Thor, he's very funny.
I love him as Fat Thor.
Fat Thor, Ragnarok, The Pacifier is the baby movie with Vin Diesel that somebody mentioned in the chat. It's very similar.
I want to see Vin Diesel try to do like intelligent scientist.
Mm-hmm. That would be the challenge, and that's why I didn't cast The Rock in this movie.
Dwayne, huh?
Is because I don't think that The Rock gives me he could be a scientist, and somehow Arnold gets away with it. Like he's really good at it.
Nails it in that meeting. Nails it. Like the language he's using, like it just sounds so authentic, and he sounds familiar with it. And yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything else where I was like, okay.
Yeah, I just don't think Dwayne Johnson would say anything other than, "We put babies and women, you candy ass." Like I just imagine that's what he's saying. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Never seen Sexy Eyes Danny and never seen Smart Arnold.
Yeah, it's a good combo. It's a good combo when they come together. Who else?
I think they should bring it back. Give us something else.
I don't know if we need another movie.
Well, Arnold sucks now, but like I would love to see something with them together again, even if it was just a little reunion.
Anybody else that you cast in the 2024? Just Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel and Peter Dinklage.
I feel like I've done a lot of these, but like Emma Stone can play off as that Diana character.
Yeah.
I kind of thought Ken Jeong would be a good person for Larry because he was a former gynecologist or a former doctor anyway.
That's true.
And could do that. But I thought Charlie Day is actually the perfect Danny. Anytime Danny DeVito's in a movie and we need to recast it for the future, just throw Charlie Day in there.
Man. I don't think that way as much as I watch It's Always Sunny, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, especially like maybe John Cena and Charlie Day.
I mean, would you not watch that movie?
Put it on right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Junior remake with John Cena and Charlie Day. Put it on right now.
Hands.
I've already watched one Junior today. Put it on right now.
Put it on. All right. Anybody else have any other suggestions? Please feel free to put those in the chat. We're going to move forward with our Did You Know section. Any fun facts that you got with? I know you didn't have a lot of time.
Man, I did see some that I wrote down. I would imagine we're kind of looking at the same source, but the reading that there was an abortion scene.
Isn't that nuts?
Is wild. Like, I think maybe the movie gets saved if they get it that direction, for me personally, because I think you're kind of then like justifying the ridiculousness of the science of all this as like that baby didn't make it, because that's not how a man's body works. And
Mhm.
there's like kind of a sad, and so you bring all the sweet connections that have been happening throughout the movie to a head, that they're all grieving together about this baby.
Mhm.
Even Angela, who's been sharing the pregnancy feast with him, like
That would make their relationship so bad, because not
yeah,
only did you take my egg, now my egg has been is now no more. And then you're getting into a
yeah,
whole political mess with
I
this.
want to
And I think
see. So maybe the John Cena and Charlie Day version will be the dark version with the
oh, I
abortion
don't
scene.
I don't want dark version. I want this movie to be as light and
It
stupid as
really,
possible.
they just blast through the first, like all of the movie in the first half of the new version, and then the second half gets really dark.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
You love it.
Any other notes? That was the big one that I had, was that because there weren't a ton of
Did you see that Danny DeVito gave, during the filming of this, Danny DeVito pranked Arnold Schwarzenegger by giving him a cigar that had
yeah.
weed in it, and they had to delay filming because Arnold Schwarzenegger was stoned. Just
That
for
might
a
keep-
day. Just
Yeah.
for a day. Weed is not bad.
Harmless.
But it's funny to think about Danny DeVito pranking Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And no fear. Like, this guy's
Yeah.
not going to do anything to me.
He's not just gonna pick me up and punt me like a football.
Yeah. I did see that note. I forgot about that one.
I also got that he wore the pregnancy suit, that he went in and kind of like hung with people in the waiting room. They shot on the university. I thought the campus was nice. We had a really nice campus in college, and as they were doing like campus shots, it was like I did kind of wonder. And so then when I stumbled on that they had shot at University of California, Berkeley,
Yeah.
I was like, that makes sense. California. It's beautiful. But they ditched the director for Jingle All the Way because Arnold insisted.
But they
They
became
ended up growing on him, and they did Jingle All the Way together. I thought that was nice.
yeah.
I always like when men reconcile. I love a good man reconciliation, or just human reconciliation. But men, man, like, we suck. This was featured like when I saw that it was featured on How Did This Get Made? That's a question that rang through my head throughout the movie.
Mhm.
Is like, how the fuck did they convince anybody to make this movie? Like, how, like, weird role. I just feel like a weird role for Arnold to take, weird role for Emma to take, weird movie. Like, just seems like it was like when it was the 100th episode of How Did This Get Made? It was like, yeah, that makes sense. It should have been on that show, because how, like, $60 million to make a movie about pregnant Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, that's wild. Script is rough.
Script is rough.
But yeah, that's all the fun I got.
All right. Well, like a fine wine and dish, we already named a bunch of movies. If you could pair this with another movie for a double feature, what would you choose?
This dude tried to ruin it for me earlier, but I did write down Alien.
Alien.
But I was like, joke Alien. But the other two I wrote down was Twins and Kindergarten Cop. Like, just
Both.
Arnold in a silly mode. Very likable, very sweet. Even
Mhm.
Kindergarten Cop has twins. Both have sweet moments in them. Because I bet they've got a true chemistry. And that's the reason I said earlier it'd be cool to see them try to do something in their older age, is because it seemed like they had just either a very pretendable energy or a very natural energy between the two of them.
Yeah.
So
Well, same director for all three of those twins, Kindergarten
Mhm.
Cop and Junior. Like I
Also,
said,
the
he was
Angela character is in Kindergarten Cop, at least, and then they made another movie with her and Arnold. I don't remember. I didn't write it down.
I
It was
remember
like the
seeing that.
director
Yeah.
and those two made 3 different movies together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I chose Baby Mama with Tina Fey and
what
Amy
a
Poehler.
good one. You've put more time. You put more thought into it. That's such a good pairing.
I also said maybe The Switch for its morality issues. If you know what The Switch is, with Jennifer Aniston and Jason Bateman, I think, where he switches out her sperm donor with his own, which is very just messed up in the same sense that they stole an egg from her.
Man.
And then my third one that I had was just because I thought that Arnold Schwarzenegger looked like Diane Keaton in Father of the Bride Part 2. So I said Father of the Bride Part 2. He looks just like Diane Keaton. He's wearing these like weird 90s vests. And yeah, that was it.
Oh man. Yeah.
Rewatchability rating out of 5. What would you give this?
I love your Baby Mama pairing. That's
that was my number one. That was the other ones were just like
great.
loose ones.
One of the things I do like about this movie is the dynamic about the rewatchability and overall rating.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would say if you said to me, I've never seen Junior, it's kind of like, well, we gotta watch it then.
Mm-hmm.
Then we need to watch it. So I think of all even into last year, all the time that we've spent together talking on the internet, this is the first time that my rewatchability rating is different and higher than my overall.
Yeah.
I think that it has a rewatchability of a 4.
I love it.
Because like, even if I would never be in a room and be like, turn that shit off, even though my overall rating is a 2. Which is one I think is in the lower of anything that we talked about. I don't think I've given anything a 2. It's been 3s and above to this point.
Yeah.
I really did not enjoy it personally. It made me uncomfortable. It was thought-provoking in a way that thoughts that I didn't want. And yeah, I would say, but if I was hanging out with somebody and they were like, man, have you heard of this movie Junior? Should I watch it? I would say absolutely. So I would recommend it much higher too than my overall rating, just because it is, you see a side of Arnold you won't see. I mean, do you know of anything else where he's like a smart guy?
Not that I can think of.
Me neither. Like, it just shows his range. Watch it solely to see Arnold's range and sexy eyes from Danny DeVito.
Sexy, you love those sexy eyes,
dude. He was looking up at the camera, and it just like, I was like, what? I've never seen that move, not even in It's Always Sunny. And I've seen most of his stuff really at this point. I didn't see it from Penguin and Batman.
What about when he looks at Artemis when they're making a Cobb salad?
When they're eating lettuce out of each other's mouth. Yeah.
That's the sexy eyes we need. I gave this movie a rewatchability rating with a caveat that I gave it a 5. With the caveat that it is much better. And you said it. You made it perfect. Like, if somebody said, I've never seen this, and you're like, put it on. We're watching it together.
Right now.
Like, seriously. Let's 100%.
Let's watch the absurdity of this movie together.
My overall star rating, 5 stars.
Get the fuck out of here.
I have not laughed this hard at a movie. And I mean, the funniest movies I was crying, Steven. And yes, it is I'll say realistically, I'll probably give it a 3. Like if I had to
Mhm.
but honestly, 5 stars because of how uncomfortable that the person I was watching it with got at times, or how many times they just like you said it, even like when you saw Natalia in the corner, just like, oh my God, what is this fucking thing? It made the movie experience so good to me that this is an experience that I will never forget for the rest of my life. And that's
I
the most
get
absurd thing that I can say.
Give me something early on. Let me go back to my scenes really quick. Give me something real early that establishes that this is a full-blown it's too sweet. I need more comedy early, and I think it jumps from a 2 to 4 for me, like real quick. You know what I mean? But like, there's just so much. I like the review that you read that there was like there's months between jokes. I liked
Mhm.
that phrasing until the absurdity of the end, like from Casitas Madre till the end. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, now
Oh my
I
God.
fully understand that they're going
I think it was just
comedy
like
mode.
the slow burn, man. It was this like
Yeah,
this climb, this gradual climb that we had to get to the pregnancy center. I said in my review, I was like, the pregnancy whole like center should be studied by freaking film schools across the country because it is taking some of the most absurd things and making just this like just running with it and just saying fuck
yeah,
it. And
yeah,
I this is also one of those movies where if you told me that you hate this movie and you're uncomfortable with this movie, I get it. But I will
yeah.
never ever ever forget the experience that I had watching this movie and the joy that I have from watching this movie. It only happens a few times like and
Your
I've had this
argument that you're making right now is why my rewatchability rating was
oh
so
yeah.
high.
I
But when
just
I think about all the movies I've ever seen, I don't know that it was funny enough throughout to get me to the laugh out loud. Definitely moments like the belly hug for sure. Definitely a few other times that I laughed out loud, but not enough to save it for me, the
yeah.
absurdity. But yeah, I agree with you. It's one. It even I would say the opposite to you. If somebody really likes it, I understand why.
Yeah. I
Because I also understand you and your mentality towards movies, which I envy, which is like what you always say sometimes at the beginning is like we watch them whether they're good or bad. Steven doesn't watch movies that he knows are bad
right.
on purpose. Like you and this have challenged me to do that more, and that's what I appreciate about it. And I wish, like I said, maybe if I had to do a few days to process and realize what, like, take it in a way like you did, I would have. It could work its way up to a 3. I don't know. It's a
I would have
2
been
for
curious
me
to
now.
see what my reaction would have been had I not watched it with Alyssa.
Mm, that's a
Like,
good
if I
point
watched
too.
this strictly alone, am I crying? Probably not. Because
Ah,
I think what yeah, like, I think the funny things are, like, just heightened, and it's not so much that they're really good jokes, it's just
that's
like,
a good point.
"Oh my god," like, this is he like, when he says, "My body, my choice," that's not funny because he's saying, "My body, my choice." It's funny because he shouldn't be saying, "My body, my choice," and I fucking lost it. I just died. Just
That one
straight
got
up
that's a
send
great
me rip
example.
stone, put me on in the ground, dead.
But I think I even that you get a laugh out of me now in 2024 because it's like this movie now that has different, like almost there's a different context to hearing that now where it's like this movie didn't know how how absurd that is to say something that is supposed to be used to be powerful for women, and they're like joking about it,
Yeah.
and they didn't know we would be where we are.
So
And that, like you're saying, when somebody in is in the room with you, like Oh my gosh! It
And I
makes
just
it that much more funny.
yeah. And that's another thing where maybe I thrive a little bit better in like the uncomfortable situations or the cringe or the things like that. I will like live with that. I'm just like, yeah, let's
Great
just
point
embrace
about
this.
Napoleon Dynamite. I think that's why Napoleon Dynamite at our college was being shown to everybody by their
Yeah.
friends because it's funny to laugh at together. But if you walk into my house and I'm watching Napoleon Dynamite solo in my living room, it may be like, "Hey man, are you okay?" In the dark on the couch facing
Are you
the
okay,
other
bro?
way while Napoleon that's our new thing. Instead of not having anything on, Napoleon Dynamite's playing in the background while I'm just facing the other way.
That's how we know. Everybody call Steven at that point, please. Something's not right. Well, I mean, I could talk about Junior for a few more hours. But unfortunately, we don't.
Those
want to
fake
go.
bellies, man.
Oh man, God, so bad. Anyway, thank you, Steven, for doing
No
this
problem.
movie with me and switching it up and having to move around and everything. Thank you so much for doing that. Any movies or any television shows that you've watched recently that you want to tell or mention to the chat?
I can't necessarily recommend anything. I have been watching a show on Netflix into I think the middle of season 2 called Kevin Can Fuck Himself.
Yeah.
And I really got drawn in by the premise. I don't know how I feel about it yet. What I would say that I could recommend is the premise, which is Annie Murphy playing the housewife in what seems like a sitcom, like almost like Everybody Loves Raymond type sitcom where it's jokes. There's even a laugh track, but then half the show is not that. When not to give away anything, but sometimes when she's not in the room with the right people, it goes to more like a serious, almost like it's shot like Ozarks. There's like a dark vibe to it. And so that premise really drew me in. I don't know how I feel about it yet, so I don't necessarily recommend it. Besides the interest and that, like, if you want to see something you have never seen before, like I think that's what me and Joseph were saying about Scavenger's Reign. That's the other one I'm trying to watch through. Is just like never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot of stuff like that. Just like seeing Smart Arnold. If you've never seen it before, it's worth watching.
That's right.
Yeah. What about you?
Let me think. Other than my daily watchings of Supernatural and everything, the only other things that I've been watching, I watched Bodies last night on Netflix.
Okay.
Like murder mystery with Gen Z kids, and thought it was pretty good. It's it's all these Gen Z actors playing satirical versions of Gen Z kids, and it's really funny. And I did kind of see what the end coming, but it was good. I really liked it, and it was a fresh take. I think it's an A24 movie too. And then I watched Beetlejuice this past weekend as well. Love Beetlejuice.
Get it prepped up.
Yeah, gotta see Beetlejuice before we see Beetlejuice. So
yeah,
I said it 3 times. He's probably behind me. So yeah, that's about the only thing I've been watching.
Birdman's behind you.
Birdman. But other than that, that's pretty much it for us. I do have some things to go over here, but I'll say it again. Thank you, Steven, for doing this with me. And thank you, everybody who has been watching, and thank you for all those people who have subscribed or given anything to this. We really do appreciate it, and we hope that as we grow, or the more, if we can grow some more, that we will be able to do other things and more fun things and expand the this. So we have a Discord server out there where we hope to expand a little bit more. So join us, help us grow there. It isn't linked up on Twitch here. Also a good place to message me if you have any suggestions, or if you want to do anything to help grow the stream. I'd really appreciate that. Also, always want to mention Letterboxd to people if you like rating movies or you want to follow along. I'm not getting paid by them, and it's a free app, so you don't even technically have to pay. But we post lists there and stuff like that too, so you can follow me on there. Other thing, extra credit. We do an extra credit stream at the end of every month where this month we're actually talking about sports movies of 1994. If you want to participate in that or want to watch some of those movies this month to like get you by while you're not doing, maybe you've watched the next week's movie already, join us for this sports movies one. We're talking about Blue Chips, The Air Up There, 8 Seconds, The Scout, and Above the Rim, all on September 25th. We'll do that probably at 6 or 7 p.m. I'll let the Discord server know when we're going to do that. And we are finally switching up our category. And so in the rest of this month of September, our new category is called As Seen on TV. And we're going to be talking about some movies based on TV shows or former TV shows. So the next movie for next Sunday we're going to be doing is called Maverick, and it's streaming on VOD right now. So do check that out wherever you can if you want to, or maybe you own it and you can just watch it on DVD or whatever. But that is what we're going to be watching next week, Maverick. So join us next Sunday right here on 52/1990.